love bees. I love bees. I love bees.
At the same time as Kamal and Jan, Durga also records Colonel Herzog of Oni Internal Affairs. I guess part of it is that she's still feeling the Seeker's influence, and it wanted to activate the device, so she still obsesses over it, and Herzog's looking into the device's existence. Now, the interesting thing about this is that Durga records him, but isn't consciously aware of it. She doesn't store the files in Jersey's server. Instead, they slip down the mirror into 2004, where they're observed by the AIs there. The Seeker is a powerful Covenant tool, but they made a serious mistake in its design. They only told it that the law was to seek, behold, and reveal the truth, but they didn't give it any ideology that would make it only want to do so for the Covenant. The Sleeping Princess figures out that Durga doesn't know about the Herzog files, so she convinces the Seeker to reveal the truth to Durga so that she could behold it. It agrees and transfers the files up the mirror, freaking out Durga.
On Friday, a voice just started playing inside me.
Herzog is an old spy investigating the Apocalypso's crash and the mysterious circumstances surrounding it. It seems that shortly after it arrived, most of the crew died through various accidents. The ship's captain was the only one to say anything about the Forerunner artifact, and that wasn't on official record, and then her vehicle software malfunctioned and drove her into a bus. Herzog's convinced that the corrupt Major Standish has stolen this artifact so that he could be responsible for reverse engineering Covenant technology to win the UNSC the war and assassinated anyone who knew about it. His retired spy friend Professor Avi recommends a student of his, Rani Sobeck, as a new recruit into the spy game. After this, Durga starts spying on Rani too. Rani is like Sherlock Holmes if he were a young woman from Kentucky in 2552. She can look at someone and determine all sorts of things about them. She's also a student trying to afford school in Boston. At first it looks like she can start a business with her friend in selling disposable chatters, but that completely falls through, so she decides to take her professor up on his proposal to join Oni as an analyst at Chala Base. First though, she has to sell a bunch of disposable chatters shaped like little purple kittens. From the beginning it said that the primary market is girls, because the chatters are designed to be cute. At the flea market, Ronnie's approached by a male customer. He likes the animal design but wants something more manly.
Yeah, got any not so girly? Maybe shaped like a cobra?
No.
Wolf?
No.
Cow, even?
Just kittens.
Yeah, okay. I'll take two.
There are a couple things of comment here. The gendering of animals and the humor derived from him ending up buying multiple girly chatters after making a fuss. Though the color purple is often considered feminine in Western culture, his focus is on animals rather than color. The cobra and wolf, being fierce creatures, are strongly associated with masculinity in the customer's mind. The cow, though female, I gather to be more gender neutral. It's just slow-moving livestock kept for dairy, and is a semi-permanent feature of cow fields. The cat is typically seen as feminine for its grace, while the dog is considered its masculine counterpart. The kitten is the cat's younger version and is cuter as it closer resembles a human infant. Cuteness is strongly associated with femininity in American culture, and femininity is also considered degrading. The guy ending up buying two is funny both because he made such a big deal about not wanting a girly item, and his getting multiple stands in contrast to his previously displayed interest in the product, and because a guy liking something considered feminine is typically seen as silly because of femininity's association with weakness. Anyway, Rani accepts the job with Oni, but she takes some time off to go to her cousin Sarah John's wedding in Kentucky as her maid of honor. Sarah John tries to set her up with her friend Nick, but Rani clashes with him when she catches him telling the groom, Jason, that if he's truly having second thoughts about the marriage that he should call off the wedding because it would be worse if he cheated on her later. Rani interrupts and tries to blackmail Jason into marrying Sarah John, which is pretty twisted even if it's for a good cause. The discussion stops when Sarah John comes in, and for whatever reason, Jason goes through with the marriage. Later, during the reception, Nick explains to Rani that he was just trying to get Jason to marry Sarah John because he wanted to, and didn't feel like he needed to, or he would hold it against Sarah John and it would cause problems later. Rani admits that he was right, and she dances with him. Then the fall of Reach is announced.
Oh my god. Reach is only 11 light years from Earth.
Later on in the night, Rani takes Nick out to a makeout spot. She talks about planets being glassed, and he makes a comparison to her putting up a hard shell around her. They have sex there shortly before Nick is sent to an orbital defense platform. Some days later, she's approached on a train by an ODST named Joe who wants to get with her. She says she's with Nick, and he tries to convince her that Nick just used her for sex, because it's what all guys are doing now. It looks like the end of the world is fast approaching, so everyone's taking what they can get.
Lying doesn't look the same when you think you're gonna die.
No, Nick wouldn't.
When you think you're gonna die, you take what you can get. any way you can.
She points out the untanned line on his finger, suggesting a recently removed wedding ring.
If some tart buys your line of sleeves, it's because she decided to, not because she was too dumb to notice you slipped your wedding ring off that morning.
This is again a statement shaming women for not conforming to the ideals of romance, alongside a strong theme of the promotion of monogamous relationships. Joe explains that his wife died on Reach and had told him to keep on living. Because Reach, as far as we knew then, was one big military base, it's reasonable to assume that the implication is that Joe's wife Maggie was also a soldier. Even if they're both Reach natives, it seems unlikely that Joe would be stationed far away on Earth, when Earth already has an overpopulation problem, and plenty of patriotic draftees. So we're presented with a husband and wife both being in the armed forces, subverting the traditional image of simply a male soldier with a civilian wife. Because Nick probably isn't loyal, he urges Rani to take what she can get. Meanwhile, Herzog's a meddler, and he secretly conducts an investigation through Rani. He suspects that Oni cracked the Covenant's code and allowed them to glass planets, Troy and Harmony, to keep them from figuring it out, similar to sacrifices made by Britain in World War II. To find out, he makes a crank call as a cranky old man wanting his family papers taken during the evacuation of the planet Troy, just to see if it's taken seriously, like an evacuation actually happened. Rani is then given the assignment to figure out who called, and though she discovers it's a fraud, she also discovers that there was an evacuation of Troy, despite her boss saying nothing happened. Herzog confronts Standish about Troy and Harmony, but in trading witty lines accidentally lets Standish guess that it was Rani who figured it out.
Maybe we should talk about Troy then, and Harmony, and code breakers.
Herzog, I demand to know your source.
Yes, a security breach that major is worrying, isn't it? But it was just a supposition on my part.
But...
And some basic investigation a schoolgirl could do.
At Jola Base, right? A schoolgirl, Herzog?
Avi, old friend, you're right. I am too old for this.
Standish tries to have Rani killed, but Herzog's man takes out the assassin with a sonic weapon. Rani quickly figures out that her research made someone want to kill her, and dives into more research.
I am so sorry, Sarah John. But I'm in too far. They're never gonna let me get out now.
Herzog goes to his and Standish's superior, an unnamed admiral, who says he'll look into this immediately.
Oh, and before you go getting on your moral high horse, who is using that 22-year-old girl?
And who is hiding the most powerful object ever to fall into our hands?
There is a war going on, my friend.
For us to remain human, not slaves. For us to be free people.
My conscience doesn't keep me awake at night, Herzog.
That's very frightening, Standish. Mine keeps me awake every night.
Standish here comes off as sociopathic, akin to early portrayals of Ackerson from the novels. Whether or not he's literally supposed to be a sociopath is unclear. There's an overarching theme of how impending doom makes people behave strangely, as with Joe's characterization of Nick. In any case, he's acting like one, and he remains this cold, unsympathetic character throughout the audio drama. Herzog decides to make contact with Rani. Rani is taken off guard, but recognizes Herzog as the cranky old man she was investigating.
How do you know? Did you find a picture?
I just knew. I knew what you would be like.
What am I like?
Inconspicuous, dressed like a divorced bureaucrat.
I am a divorced bureaucrat.
Herzog describes how he needs her as his inside agent to gather intelligence on Standish when the time comes, but for now, behave normally. He later tells her about the artifact.
Since they triggered the artifact, it's been putting out fluctuating fields, up and down, weaker and stronger, but steadily overall weaker.
After hearing her father talk about needing a decay timer, she realizes that the energy oscillation is the same thing.
What if the artifact is a timer?
The artifact?
Maybe it didn't go off one time like a grenade. Maybe that was just the pulse of it turning on, and now it's counting down.
If it is, what happens?
When it gets to 0.
It is heavily implied that the artifact has activated the halo array and will cause it to activate its collective weapon when the energy output stops. Soon after that, Standish assassinates Herzog.
Herzog, at the bottom of this hill, watch out for the bridge.
I'm sorry. Manual braking at this speed is not recommended. If you would like me to apply gradual deceleration, please.
Making Rani the only one fit to do anything about the artifact. She tries to snoop on the lead analyst's work, but Standish is a step ahead of her and catches her in the act.
My name is Standish, Section 3, and I've been waiting for you.
He tells her a story about how Herzog is delusional and has been committed.
Finally received the treatment he should have gotten a long time ago.
He then threatens to have her executed as a traitor, using his power to assert his dominance through making her feel helpless.
Treason!
Yes, do you know the penalty for wartime treason is permanent induced coma, Miss Sobeck? Yes, well, I see you now grasp the gravity of the situation.
But I haven't done anything.
I imagine it would be hard on your parents, Rani, watching you get the injection.
Oh my God.
You know, they broadcast the injections. Not all of them, but treason, always. You didn't think about that when Herzog approached you, did you?
No.
You didn't think what your father would say to the neighbors the next morning when everyone was replaying the clip?
Stop it. Just stop it.
Oh, you are not in a position to give orders, Miss Sobeck.
He condescends to her in a way that comes across as sexist.
Nobody wants to hang pretty young girls, Analyst Sobeck. Consider yourself warned and reprimanded and get the hell out of this part of the base, all right?
Which I'm fine with, considering he's a villainous sociopath figure, and we as the audience are not made to feel appreciative of his comments. Rather, we're with Rani. Rani feels humiliated and depressed. She mouths off to Sarah John when angry at herself, and then tears up. A helpful waitress whose husband was killed in a naval battle shows her some kindness and gives her the advice not to give up even when the state of the world seems horrible. Feeling better, Rani apologizes to Sarah John and explains that she was following someone that Standish told her was crazy.
No.
What do you mean, no?
You were the one who told Trisha that Cale was two-timing her.
Oh, that was different. Cale was an idiot.
Yeah, but you knew Mr. Mackenzie was having an affair with Ms. Del Vecchio, and that Gupta Singh was lying to us about his mom.
She needed the pension money. Anyone could see that.
Now, if this guy was crazy, you would have known.
But Major Standish said that...
Then whoever this Standish is, he's a liar.
I gotta go.
He was lying to you, Ronnie. Don't you believe it?
I think this is a pretty feminist part. An evil man makes a powerful woman feel helpless, and she's helped to get back to her usual strength by talking with two other women. Immediately after this, Rani's storyline intersects with Jersey's. I'll cover Jersey and Durga's storyline in the next video to get everyone caught up.
I love bees. I love bees.